Okay, this is part 2 of the practice test video solution, and we did tables on the first part. We do this pivot table stuff on the second worksheet here for the second part of the video. And it says use the data to create a pivot table with the destination in column A and a count of the cruise codes in column B. So let's just click in here, and if you want to do a pivot table, you go to the insert and go to pivot table. And if you start out with the cursor in the data, then you just can click on OK here. And let's see, I forgot what we wanted here. We wanted destination and an account. So let's go over here and click on destination and then account of the cruise codes. And what it's doing is it's giving me labels for those. And I got to put over here under values, and it automatically does a count for me. So that's the pivot table. This will show how many sales are made for each of the different cruises. Apply the pivot table style, pivot style chart, dark 25. So let's go back over here and let's go to our pivot styles. Let me see right here. And I want dark 25, dark 20, dark 25. Go back here and see if we did that right. Pivot style dark 25. Okay. Create a pivot chart so I want a count of the week numbers at the bottom and a count of the cruise code. So I'm going to have to make this is different than my pivot table, so I'm going to have to create another. The easy way to do this, I think, is create a pivot table and then make a chart based on the table. So I want week numbers at the bottom and then a count of the cruise codes. So let's go to Insert and Pivot Table and click on OK. And I want week number at the bottoms, so I got to slide it over here to rows. And then I want a count of the cruise codes. Drag that over here and do a count, and let me check and make sure I actually did what was asked for. Week numbers at the bottom, count of the cruise codes represent as a line on the chart. So I need to make that into a chart, so let's go to pivot chart here, and let's choose line, and I think I want line with markers, and click OK. And so got a chart that looks like that. Let's go back here, line with markers, week numbers at the bottom, count of the cruise codes, week numbers, count of the cruise codes, okay. And add a linear trend line. Change the chart title to sales by week and delete the legend. So just type sales by week on top of this and hit enter. Delete the legend. There's no need for a legend if there's only one line. And then I want to add a trend line. And so let's go to a little plus sign here and let's go to trend line, and linear should be an option here. Choose linear. And let's go back here to our pivot okay, add a linear trend line, change the title to sales by week, delete the legend, insert a comment in D2 on this page with your name as the contents of the comment. So D2 is right here, and that is on the review tab, I think. Yep, new comment, and then just put your first and last name. And now let's go to our data tab and put a formula in J2 that will count the number of sales, the number of rows where the sales rep is the number 61. So we're basically counting how many sales rep at 61 has. That's going to be a count if. So we'll do equal count if parenthesis, and then I like to have this little box come up here. So it wants to know the range is what I want to count, and let me see, I'm just counting the number, and I think we may have to do a column with numbers in it. So let's choose that, and the criteria is going to be I'm sorry, I have to count column D. So select everything in column D, and I'm looking for, I think it was 61, and hit enter, and it tells me that there are 23 rows where the sales rep is number 61. Okay, let's go to the Goal Seek tab, and I've already got the answer in there. Let's delete that and start over again. Use Goal Seek to determine what value must be in cell B4 to make the subtotal in B5 equal to 2,000. So Goal Seek is on the Data tab, and it's under What If Analysis here in my Data Tools. And I want to use Goal Seek, and I'm trying to set this cell right here equal to the value 2,000 by changing the number in B4, and click on OK, and cancel that. I shouldn't cancel. Can I undo that? And it's actually 62.5, and this is a real simple example of Goal Seek. You probably don't even need Goal Seek to do something that's simple, because all we're doing is dividing 2,000 by 32, and we get 63.5, or 62.5, which gets rounded to 63 when I format it as a whole number. If I increase the decimal places, then I'll get 62.5. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's go to our macros worksheet. It says make sure macros are enabled, so let's go to our developer tab, and let me see, we need to go to our file tab here and go to options and go to our trust center. And actually, no, I don't think we need to go there. I think we can just go to macro security here. I think it'll take us right there. And we want to enable macros, so click on that. Click on OK. Create a macro and name it sort by cruise code. And the macro should do two things. So select the data from A2 to D16 and sort the data by cruise code in ascending order. So we want to record a macro. The name of the macro is sort by cruise code, and the shortcut key is going to be Control S, and click on OK. And now what I want to do is I want to go to cell A2. So click on A2, and then I want to select everything down to row 216, and I'm going to scroll back up again, leaving all of that selected. And I want to sort the data by cruise code. So let's go to our data tab here, and let's do a sort, and let's do this sort. And I want to do cruise code A to Z. I just happen to have the right thing up here for me, because I probably have been playing with this before and chose cruise code before. If it's not there for you, you can just click on the down arrow and choose cruise code, and make sure it's A to Z. Click on OK, and now it is all sorted by cruise code, and that's my macro, so you don't forget to go back here and click on stop recording. Then I want to add a button in row 1, so let's go to insert, and I think either one of these buttons will work. I don't remember which one they used in the book, but let's just click and drag here. And the whole point of having a button is to assign it to a macro, so the assign macro dialog box comes up. We'll do sort by cruise code, click on OK, and change the button's text to, let's make sure we're in design mode here, and then I click here and delete what's there and do sort by cruise code, delete the 2, and add a button to the quick access toolbar that will invoke that macro. The anchor button is the one that I want. So let's go up here, click on the down arrow, and go to more commands. And I want to look at my macros, so let's go here and sort by cruise code, add that. And then what I want to do is, let's go to, is that under modify here? Yes, it is. And I want the anchor, so we got to look for an anchor in here somewhere. and there it is, and click on OK, and click on OK. And now we've got two ways to invoke our macro, and this doesn't float around with the text box. So I should be able to, theoretically, let's go here and go to my data tab, and let's do an A to Z sort. So now the data is scrambled, and now let's click on sort by cruise code. And it looks like they are all sorted by cruise code. And also, let's go back here and let's do an A to Z sort again on sales rep. And then let's go and click on the anchor button, and it should sort by cruise code. And I'm not sure, this should not have been included. You know, back when I first did my sort, there's an option here and that I should have turned on. And it's my data has headers, and it's apparently turned on now, but it must not have been turned on before. And that would have kept the headers up here instead of including the data. We're not going to go back and fix that though. And the last thing is the lookup tab here, and I want to put a formula in B2 and B3 that will look up the code in column A down here and look up the product name and the unit cost, the price. So it's going to be a VLOOKUP, and that's going to be on my formulas. And there is a group here called Lookup and Reference, and I want VLOOKUP, and I've got to tell it the lookup value, which is this. I've got to tell it where the table array is, which is this. And I've got to give it the column index number. The product is in column 2. And I must put false here because the data is not sorted in the lookup column, in column A here, the code column. So click on OK. And it should look up paper for A23. And A27 should be desk. So if I copy this down, let's hope we get desk. And I just realized something. I did make a mistake here. It doesn't show up with what I've got. But this should be an absolute cell reference, so it needs the dollar signs in there. And now that I've got the dollar signs in, you always want to do that with a lookup. Make the table an absolute cell reference. And then over here, I'm just going to copy this formula over, and I should be able to edit it, I think. I want to look up not what's in B2, but what's in A2. That got changed to a B when I dragged it over. The table is the same, but I want column 3 because I want to look up the price. And again, it's got to be false for the last item. And so the cost of paper should be 5, and the cost of a desk should be 75. If I drag this down, I should get a 75 there. And it says add a comment cell A1. I already did a comment. We don't need that in there, so let's delete that. And that's the end of the practice test.